What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Fatherhood Village, the official home for proud fathers and mentors. I am your host, Dale Holloway, doing my thing with Kev Hick, providing wealth to the community of men raising the next generation. And today, we'll open up in a conversation about something we all deal with, right? Finances, and then how we create a course to wealth building. So we got a special guest that's coming in to talk about the things that we haven't covered in recent topics. So, but first, I got to bring on Kev. Kev, what's going on, baby?
Man, I'm chilling. How you doing, bro?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm good. It's 4 hours from you as far as behind here
hmm
in Alaska. So if my face look like it's just hit the bed or just getting up, that's all true, man.
Hey,
But nah,
it,
everything's good. The sun's shining. I mean, good health, man. Good spirits.
it's 12 noon here, and as you can see, I'm still chilling in bed. So disregard, cuz don't even worry about it. I should be the one in the
Yeah.
office doing all that, but I've been in writer mode, man. I've been writing this book. I'm 33,000 words into what might
Ooh,
be about 45 to 50,000 words, and it's just been important for me to be comfortable, to be in a relaxed place. So I've been spending a lot more time in this bed, and it's adjustable, so it's kind of nice anyway. So I just been writing this book, man. So I'm kind of in house dad writer mode right now.
gosh. Nah, that's interesting. A book you said about almost 30,000 words in.
33 so far. By the time
Yeah,
I finish it this week, it should be about 50.
that's tough. That's
Yeah,
tough.
it's a
But
whole
that's
book.
good.
It's gonna be a whole
Congratulations
book.
on that.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that, bro.
Yeah, that's a big move, big step in that direction, man. But yeah, so not to belabor the audience too much, man. If you remember, Kev, and time passes us so quickly when we don't really sit back and observe, but we brought up a topic about our relationship with finances
hmm
like 4 years ago. We started in 2020, and that was one of the first topics. I think like the first 10 episodes.
Yeah,
Um, and I think we spoke from what we could from our experiences, and obviously that was just like a small, um, I guess a small path that people could take, or at least kind of help navigate some folks, but everybody not in the same situation. And some
absolutely not.
folks may be more keen or inclined on the financial literacy and things like that. So my thing for a while, like, hey, we got to get somebody else to talk about some of these things from a professional aspect. And
Absolutely.
then on my end, my situation awareness was low when it comes to the members of the family, right? Just a lot of the professionals and different occupations that my families have, the networks that I have, things like that. So little did I know, right? I had a cousin that was into, she has a professional background when it comes to financial literacy, education, wealth building. And so luckily she got in touch with me. It's been a year since she hit me up, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's bring you on. That'll be perfect. But then, as you know, Kev, things became very sporadic. We weren't able to stay consistent as we like, family, life, all these things. So now, finally, we set the table up, and we have our special guest. Let me throw the banner so it's real. Um,
It's
so,
together better.
um, so again, um, our guest, she's a proud mother, an investor, a wealth coach, a tax professional, and owner, CEO of R. Crofford Financials. We gladly welcome Ryan Crawford to the Fatherhood Village. How you doing? Come on in here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the
Absolutely.
introduction. I appreciate it.
All day. All day.
Yes. I want to give it back to y'all. Like, I just appreciate you being able to, allow this platform for other business owners, but just allow me to be here to speak to your audience. So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, Mr. Least we could do. Mr. Least we could do. So, as we kind of get started, That was a very brief snapshot of who you are, what you do. But if you could, before we get the ball rolling any further, kind of talk to us about kind of who you are, where you from, um, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so my name is Ryan Crawford. I am from Dayton, Ohio, little town, and but I reach everyone. So a little bit about my journey. My entrepreneurial journey started 7 years ago. Just going to work, dead end, having to ask for gas money to get to work.
Hmm.
So since then, I've been a full-on entrepreneur. Now, as far as this particular business, I wanted to get into that because once it was 4 years ago, COVID, I had lost my job and I was fresh out of a bankruptcy. So not only did I not have money coming in, but I didn't understand how finances worked. I didn't understand credit and I was heading towards another bankruptcy. So I
Mm.
was able to educate myself on how credit works, able to help other people get my bankruptcy deleted, medical collections. And now it's just maintenance and just being able to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And when I educate people on their finances, I tell them it's deeper than credit. It's your spending habits, it's your relationship, like you said, it's your relationship with money, because a lot of us in the Black community, we weren't taught financial literacy. So that's
Right.
what I want to focus on now. It's not just credit, but everything involving finances.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So I want to actually pass it over to Kev. I know you had a couple questions, and thank you for the introduction.
Mhm.
Laying a foundation down, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the COVID pandemic and how things were disrupted. A lot of things were uncertain moving forward from that. So yeah, Kev, if you have a question.
So, first of all, thank you for being on the show. Um, the the premise of you discovering your own financial empowerment came through your own financial tragedy or downfall. Like many of us, right? We don't get the itch until we have the fall, right? Until we
Right.
have to get back up, and in the healing process, the itch hits us, and we're like, oh man, I need to learn something, right?
Yeah.
Um, so being that you experience it from the bottom, being that most people you encounter are in either crisis or are moving through disarray into some clarity and preparedness and readiness to do something different than they've done. How do you help reset people's mindset away from that scarcity? And also, how do you kind of help them overcome the emotional attachment they might have to money because of that scarcity, having been through maybe the most traumatic financial event of their life, after or before needing your services or encountering you?
So for me, because like you said, a lot of people, when they come to me, they have to be in a place of knowing that they need help. They have to want help.
Right.
But for me, the mindset is everything. So for me to connect with my people, and this is before they even get to me, I am just upfront and transparent about my own situation. I think when people can see that you've been through the struggle, then they can relate to you a little more and they're able to take it and be like, well, maybe I do need to fix this. Maybe I need to look into it, because I wouldn't have taken it serious. I did a bankruptcy and everything. I wouldn't have taken it serious unless, I got turned down by the mortgage lender and he told me what he told me.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think just being meeting people where they are
Right.
is good for the mindset. You don't ever want to, I may have this success now, but I started where they started. So I think it's important to meet people where they are and be completely transparent. And that's how I bring people in and just connect with people to be able to come to the mindset of, okay, maybe I should look into this, just hearing my story.
100%. I feel like
Absolutely.
always being relatable,
Yeah.
or people needing to relate to you. Kind of like, even if you look at the influencers people kind of ingest on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, the relatability creates the believability, and it creates that faith. I see myself in this person, I relate to them, therefore if they can, I can. Versus if you're not willing to meet them where they are, if you're not willing to share those events and those stories that connect you to them, they may or may not see you as above them, superior to them, more capable, more competent. And therefore, because they don't see themselves in you, your advice just feels like expert advice. And we don't always feel like we relate to the experts. And sometimes that's how we reject the best information for us. So 100.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Facts tell, stories tell.
Absolutely.
You
There you
always
go.
tell your story.
There you go.
Yeah.
And obviously, Ryan, we follow each other on Facebook, and you basically converted your personal page into your basically professional page, things like that.
Yeah.
And you've grown a huge following, and a lot of things that you post, I'm cheering. I agree with this. We speak the same language, and it's been in very many ways inspirational for me to see a lot of things that you say, and the message that you stand behind, and that you've been doing this for a few years. You've helped a lot of people. What are some of the common, insufficiencies or shortfalls that you notice and see from, especially the Black community, but any middle class family? What are some things that you're seeing, like, okay, this is a common theme here, and I think if most of us get this, we should be in a better space?
Okay, so that's my favorite question. So a lot of times people come to me and they say, I need your help. I need you to fix my credit. We go through and check their credit and they don't need credit help. So one thing that I think the Black community needs to realize is you need to track and keep up before you try to pay somebody to do anything. Understand what's going on with your finances. There's so many, different apps that you can use to check just your Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. No, the score itself, you may not want to rely on that, but educate yourself on the credit factors. Now, my company, we do educate people on that, but as a person that I came from that, I don't want people to just throw their money out and they don't know what's going on. So I would say just making sure that you understand where your finances are before you try to pay anybody. It's good to try to go to somebody to try to get the help, but don't just let it go. Some people, they'll have a missed payments and they'll just let it go. They don't look into it. They'll just forget about it. So that's my biggest thing, is making sure that you know what's going on. I have so many people that come to me and they say they have a low credit score, but they don't know what their credit score is. So like, don't do that. I just want to, the biggest thing when people try to start the process is, I want you to know what's going on. People are involved in the process once they decide to do credit restoration with me or any other financial endeavor. They know what's going on. It's not just paying me to do it. So if you're looking for a done for you, that's not me. I want you to know what's going on before you just shelling out hundreds and thousands of dollars, So I think that's the biggest thing. Just know what's going on.
Gotcha. Now that makes a lot of sense. Because like you said, it's things that we like to, I guess, either neglect out of, it's uncomfortable, right? Sometimes it's dealing with our finances, and we're scatterbrained. Things are everywhere. We're not organized. Like you said, we don't know things, so we either forget about it or wish we forget about it, don't talk about it, these sorts of things. But like you said, like if they don't know, like let's make sure we're all on the same page before we move forward, because the avenue you thought was necessary may not even be where we need to start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's also this issue of, and we see this with every lane of improvement, self-improvement, financial improvement, health improvement, mindset, and pick it. People throw money at a mindset problem because it feels like progress, right? And there's this quote that says, don't confuse movement for progress. And because people don't want to do the work to make progress, they throw money so that they can feel like there's some movement. And they don't necessarily even know, to your point, know where they are, know what their situation is, or they've hidden their heads in the sand because they don't want to deal with it, and so they're paying you to deal with it because it's a huge sense of stress for them. Um,
Mhm.
I didn't mean to hijack. Was you
No,
about to
Yeah, I was.
segue?
Yeah, I was done. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
You got it. You got
so
it.
so to that point, right? Once a person gets beyond the fear of looking at the sore or the scrape, you scrape your knee, or you bang, you broke skin, you like cut yourself or something, and you like don't want to look at it to see how bad it is. You've ever had that moment you cut yourself with a knife on accident cooking, and you like,
Mhm.
and you don't even want to look at it. I might make my wife look at it like, here, is it bad?
Mhm.
When people get like that with their finances, but once they've gotten beyond that, right, the shock, the awe, the stress, the fear of, okay, things are bad, right, and I do have a little bit of money to throw at this problem, but I've actually looked at it, I've actually done the work, I know what my scores are, I've done the free things, right, I've disputed claims that I don't agree with on my credit report, I've done these things to make sure that I've talked to my credit collectors, or my creditors, to make sure that if things can be worked out, I can work them. I've done all the free stuff. I've done the things I know to do. Okay. At that point, how should a broke person, and I'm using broke as the situation, hopefully not the mindset at that moment because they're coming out of broke, but how should the quote unquote broke person start once their priorities are handled, the priorities of becoming aware, educating themselves, doing the free things that they don't need to pay for, right? Before they come to a person who offers a service, how should that person start once their services, once services or paying for anything or making any move that is outside of what they know to do? How should they start that process once they've gotten their priorities together?
so I would say a practical thing, just skills, would be building up their payment history. You can do that with prepaid cards. If you have any type of income coming in, there's cards that you can just load your money. You're using it as your money, but it's building up credit. Or you can get a secured card. Now that that's more of a you put your money into it and that's your credit limit.
Hmm.
Or there's my latest favorite thing is called the Kickoff app. You can pay $5 a month and it's building up your credit score. So $5, I think it ranges from like $5 to $35. So there's things out there that when I do my consultations, and whether the person, they're not ready to start, or if they just don't need the services right now, I tell them, build up your credit. And you can build your credit from nothing by using those different steps, using the Kickoff app, self lender, just different prepaid cards to build credit. There's so many things out there that people can take a hold of and just start. That's the best piece of advice if someone just doesn't have the money right now, but
Hmm.
they want to start something.
Nice.
Hmm.
Very good. Obviously, one of the buzzwords, and we said it a couple times, building generational wealth. What are some different ways people can look at, um, when it comes to vehicles to create, um, you know, assets, things that apply to generational wealth? What are some different ways people can kind of gauge this idea of generational wealth? Because sometimes people just think, oh, it's just a whole bunch of money, or it's just grandma's house. You know what I'm saying? What are some other ways we can create and build generational wealth, and what are some steps we can start taking right now to develop that?
Well, I would say first would be making sure you have your affairs in order when you pass. That's something that we also offer, is making sure your will and trust and power of attorney is set up. That is included with credit services because that is something that people don't do. So first is making sure that your assets, the ones that you do have, you know what's going on, you know where they're going. Next,
Mhm.
once you start to create a budget and you see, because you never want to spend 100% of your income. You spend 80%, and then the other 20% at the end of the month, you want to invest into something. So my something, I invest in S&P 500 just because it's easy.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of different vehicles out there. So for me, it's just having that the mindset of, okay, let's get my assets in order, and then okay, whatever's left after I do what I need to do, my responsibilities, then I'm going to go ahead and invest into something that's going to eventually or slowly create me some cash flow down the line. And it's not going to be everything all at once. It's not going to be big cash money, but
Mhm.
it's going to set you up for your family later on. So yeah, that's what I would say for as far as like generational wealth, and just making sure you have the right principles when it goes into, getting your finances together and making sure your assets are together.
I had
Gotcha.
a question about that because my son is about to be 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I had this. I guess you always want to make the best choice. So there's this information paralysis that overthinkers like myself go through, where you can give me a few pieces of game, and then I got to go investigate what's the best of the best of the best ways to do that. So my son turns 10. For his birthday, one of the things that I wanted to do is create an investment account for him, to get that compound benefit. So by the time he's my age, he whatever financial issues he's created for himself, we can erase. If not, he can build on that, and it can lead him somewhere. So with that said, a lot of people hear the word investment. You said S&P 500. um, what are some of the best, most efficient investments that a person who doesn't have a lot to invest but wants to invest long term, especially when you're talking about setting up children's accounts? In the '90s, we all had terrible credits because your parents would put a DPNL or a power or lights bill in your name. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm in the city too. So instead of creating generational wealth, they was passing on the generational curse to a
Mm,
degree. And so in passing on generational wealth or creating it and doing the exact opposite for our children. Like I said, when my son's 10, I wanted to make that a thing, and pull him into the process, so he knows what I'm doing. I'm not just purchasing it on his behalf. In his mind, he's autistic, slightly. He has to organize everything. So 10 years old is when I'm allowed to start man training for him. That's what we've agreed upon. Life gets a little rougher at 10 for you, because
yeah.
you got to teach you how to be an adult. So everything is going tidal wave for him at 10, which is why I said, okay, you've compartmentalized this for 10 years old. But when he's 10, what would be the best, or not the best, but one of the best options to start an account for him? Would it be S&P 500? Would it be an Acorns account? Would it be, what are we hear so much about so many different things. How would you handle that as a wealth professional, if you wanted to just throw $100 at your child's future every month?
Um, my favorite is always going to be the S&P 500, just because you are getting a piece of the top 500 companies. Now there are other things, like you said, Acorn. I believe you can like invest like the difference, the change. I think you're spending
Yeah, yeah.
into, that's a good way. But for me, if I don't see it, and this is you setting it up, and you can explain this to him as well. If he I don't know if he gets an allowance or anything like that,
Hmm.
but you can actually set it up with the S&P 500 to, once your money hits your account, the money goes right into your investment account.
Hmm.
So it's automatic. So that's why I love it more. Like, you don't have to trace numbers. You know that the S&P is going to go up because that's the history of it.
Right.
um the Roth IRA, I've done research with that, but I haven't invested in it, so I can't speak on it too much. But my
Hmm.
favorite is always going to be the S&P 500,
Okay.
hands down, just because
Awesome.
it's not a lot of think work. And your money is going to grow, from anywhere from 6 to 12%. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Thank you for that. I might have jumped in front of Dale because that wasn't even on
Oh
my
no,
question list, but
nah. If you got it, if it's rolling, have at it. I think one thing my mother helped me with very early on, some things that she learned. She began my credit history back when I was like, I don't even know I was 10 yet. Maybe I was 12.
Hmm.
But I was a very young child, right? So I took a trip. I don't know if you all heard of the People to People Student Ambassador Program, but I went overseas, and obviously, need to have a couple of dollars with me. So uh, she went through Right Pat, got me a credit card, and I don't know the exact details. I don't know if it was a custodial account, maybe it was, but that was the first thing as far as finances that had my name on it, like
Mm.
to a attached to a financial institution. So by the time I actually needed credit to use for myself, I didn't need a cosigner. Right.
Yeah.
So that
Nice.
was one thing I was like, man, she was kind of, to me, she was ahead of her time, because I wasn't
Of
thinking on those lines.
course.
I never heard of that, beginning that paper trail, if you will, very early. So that's what I'm doing. I got the kids with credit cards already with their name, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
pretty
It's
much,
called adding.
joint.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, so just, that was one thing that came to mind, thinking
Mhm.
about what are some steps, some easy steps, tips, tools for folks, just the average person, to begin doing now that's effortless, right? And then, you
Yeah.
say you're talking about building credit, that credit history, on time payments, making sure there's no delinquencies, like you said, Kev, disputing things that you're like, okay, that's not me, or that's been handled, or whatever the case is, and it's still showing up. So just going back to what you said, Ryan, just knowing your situation, like, the ins and outs of it, just comprehensively understanding what situation you're currently in. So I just wanted to add that. And then I want to get into real estate. I know the market is crazy. I'm gonna be leaving Alaska soon, and I plan on purchasing a home, hopefully in Illinois. I might be in Delaware, but hopefully Illinois. What are some things that we could look at doing when it comes to looking and preparing to buy property, homes? Maybe someone wants to start renting out homes and space and stuff like that. What are some ways people can kind of navigate, or what are some things that you've educated people on when it comes to that form of wealth building?
So, like the investment part of it, or just someone just trying to be a home buyer?
Yeah, maybe just some things to either look out for, or maybe some of the first steps to take, because people might, jump the first two steps because they didn't know about it.
Right. So I would say, and just coming from my own experience, right? Back when I was looking for a house, the lender told me he wouldn't lend to me whether I got my credit score up to an 800, because my history was terrible. So one thing I try to educate people on is your credit score and your credit history are two separate things. So you
Mm,
can have a great credit score and terrible history, and vice versa. So I would
mm,
just say, make sure if you pay someone to do it or you're doing it yourself, make sure you're keeping an eye on both. You can't rely on one or the other to take you to where you need to go. So that's the biggest thing. That came right from a lender, and that was
mm.
one of my biggest lessons when going forward and teaching my clients.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Bet. What you got, kid? You got something?
Yeah. So to your point, and I wrote this down when you said it because it was just a quotable. You said facts tell, stories sell, right?
Yeah.
And it goes along with the question I had already prepared. Can you share with us any inspiring stories, maybe of a client who started from the bottom and grew their portfolio or their credit or just their life from starting the process, trusting the process, involving themselves, not having you do everything, but just being everything that a client needs to be to create that life that they want, coming especially from financial ruin? Or do you have any stories in mind of someone who, could potentially inspire other people? Because we all see, like I said, if a person's up, yeah, that's really nice, good for you, right? But
Right.
we want to hear, to that point, the story of somebody being us and then
Yeah.
going into that situation. And you work with a lot of clients who I'm sure are experiencing some crazy, dire circumstances. So do you have any stories about that maybe could inspire somebody listening that, hey, as bad as it seems, you too can overcome this and this too shall pass?
Yes, yes. There was a client, real estate agent. So she was selling houses, but she couldn't get any of these houses because her credit was terrible. So once she got started, she was able to raise her score. She was in the 400s. She was able to raise her
Mm.
score. She had an eviction on her credit, so that was hindering her from walking into a better environment. She was able to raise her score to get into a better house, and also she was able to get a rental property. So she doesn't own a home, but she did leverage her credit to be able to get a rental property to do Airbnbs in Atlanta. So that's one story
Nice.
that I love. Yeah, because she was able to, it's when you're a salesperson, like car salesman or home salesman, sometimes you it's kind of discouraging. You're selling these things and you can't get a hold of what you're selling to these people.
Right.
And for me, that was big for me, just being able to see her elevate that way and then be help other people with that. And that's another thing I do. Is if once you get to a place to financial literacy and you understand, I want you to share it with other people. I want to position you to help other people. It shouldn't ever be, I'm going to take this, run with it, and I'm good. I want
Hey,
to each one teach one. Like, let's teach everybody in our community because we wasn't taught that. So,
absolutely. Yeah,
mhm.
the gatekeeping is it become a status symbol, and
Culture,
we
the
need yeah
gatekeeper culture.
it, yeah
Yeah, we don't want that.
it's we need to break that down.
Hmm.
There's so much pleasure taken in my haters. I don't want nobody to hate me. I want them to relate to me. I want them to realize they can come to me. I want them to be affected by me and be impacted by me. I don't need haters. I don't. That's not
Yeah,
something I want. And if you have haters, and especially in the financial arena, a lot of times it's because you feel inaccessible, and maybe they don't feel like they can ask. How'd you
right.
do this? What was the process? We sell every bit of information we can. I think that's another problem with the
Yeah,
culture, is that amazing that we can coach and make money and do all these different things that without the gatekeepers of you know, professional, but everybody now requires a lot of money to just give information to help the next person. Everybody has a price tag floating above their head like a Sims avatar, and so I would love if we could get rid of gatekeeping culture and just each one teach one, to your point.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's why on my page, I try to offer as much free information as possible, to make
Hmm.
it to where you really, unless that's why I like to do free consultations because everybody doesn't need the services. And I give them the steps of what they could take to fix their own situation. So, yeah, I think it's definitely important to educate overall.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's big. And like I said, just to kind of add to that, it's a very toxic mindset, right? To, like you said, Kev, to gatekeep, to just keep things to yourself, to hoard those things. Because I feel in providing value to everyone, right? Everybody is not going to take what you give, right? So, um, but to be kind of a vessel for self improvement in very many aspects, I think it comes back around. That's how I look at it,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
So, like I said, things that have helped you or that you think is valuable, I think we should really start to use social media in those ways, right? Hey, I'm not sure if anyone's looking for this, but in case you are, boom, this helped me, or I think this is a great article. Hey, I've struggled with this,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think people definitely had a time to at least share. They share everything else,
Yeah.
right? They
Right.
share, some things that really can help the next person. And I think it, like we're doing now, it begins with the conversation. So sharing things, beginning the conversation. What are some hurdles that we're all facing? And I think, like I said, it becomes a little contagious, or at least I like to believe that it comes contagious over a while. Like, you know what, boom, I'm gonna kind of pass this on my page, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Um, but yeah, that's what we want to do. Start doing now. But one another thing, before we begin closing out, a lot of people want to make sure they're tied to the right bank or the right financial institution when it comes to where their money is. Folks want to start by saving. Some folks want to start by budgeting. So many different things that people are thinking of when they're like, hey, this is the bank I want to go to for XYZ. Is it best to maybe have your money in several different locations when it comes to banks? So maybe you like um, the credit union for this reason, but then you also go to a traditional bank for another reason. Is that ideal? Is it great to build relationships with a lot of different institutions, or should you maybe kind of limit those things?
So for me personally, I like credit unions for personal use, especially when it comes to, you're buying a car, trying to get a house because they have the best rates. And I always educate people with trying to buy a car, always get your check from your credit union, take it to the dealership.
Mm,
So credit union, when it comes to those personal things, a major financial institution, if you're trying to get a business bank account,
mm,
that's what I would say. Just because the credit union I see is for the people. You're gonna get the best rates. If you need to take out a line of credit, that's what I would suggest. Because, like you said, your mom, you had your first line of credit or credit card through RightPad, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so credit unions are the best. Like, I love credit unions. And when it comes to people who are credit challenged, they are more lenient to accept you with those challenges.
Yeah, they give more
So,
grace.
Mm,
They
yes, for sure.
100% give more grace.
Hmm.
I
got you.
think
Appreciate that.
I was 13 when I got my Right Pat credit card. I think I got it for Christmas or Right Pat bank account. I didn't get the credit card. We wouldn't. My mama don't co-sign nothing. But I
Yeah.
got the bank account, so I was in there.
Yes.
Bet.
Oh, and I
Yep.
did want to speak on Deshar when you said that your mom, she was building your credit as young. I
Hmm.
did want to let people know that's being authorized user, and you can
Yeah.
start your kid, as young as 3 with certain companies. So
Hmm.
once you get your finances together, put your kids on, and then start building their credit. But I just wanted to go back to that because some people don't know you can add babies on there.
For real. Real
Yeah.
talk. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. What you got, kid?
Oh, nothing, man. I just I appreciate the game and wisdom you gave us today. I did have a quick question. Some people might think, um, indefinites is another huge deterrent for people to start. Right, it maybe take forever, right, and so they see themselves as so small or so low that I want to do this stuff. I want to talk to somebody, but I know it took me, it's 8 years of crap on my credit, or I've been broke for 20 years of my life. Is it going to take me 20 years to fix my credit? What type of timelines, when people are being strategic, are you seeing on average for people who are credit challenged, who are financially challenged, but who are committed and focused? What kind of timelines are you seeing for people changing their financial life around?
45 to 90 days.
Oh,
Mm,
wow.
It doesn't take long, especially when you are building your score while somebody is disputing the negative items. Like I said,
Right.
those two different factors. If you are actively paying down credit cards or building up, payment history while those negative items are getting deleted or
Mhm.
challenged, 45 to 90 days, you'll start to see some significant results.
The,
So, I mean, of course, it's case by case,
right.
but no more. I would say give yourself 6 months.
Yeah.
And like you said, Kev, like people, it's the gap. It's that not wanting it to take so much longer. The
Right.
mindset behind that is look at your life now. If you don't change anything, it's going to look the same exact way a year later.
Right.
So within that year, you had that time to make some changes. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next year's coming regardless. So
Exactly.
you might as
hmm
well do something about
Exactly.
Whether
it.
you ready or not. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, what are some, for those that want to challenge themselves intellectually, what are possibly some books, some things folks can read that you approve of, that you read that might have changed your mindset on some things and just the way you kind of navigate and, like I said, that help create a better relationship with money. What are some things that come to mind?
The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Of course, everyone knows Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And there's one, it's a new one. I'll have to get that. I forget what it's called, but really, I think my mindset would trigger my mindset with money and attracting money, because we can make money and have terrible mindset about money.
Yeah.
I think it was just realizing that money is just a thing. It's really what you give. It's a byproduct of the value that you give people. The more value that you give people, the money is going to come either way. So I think just shifting that mindset,
Mhm.
just being more of a giving person, you'll be able to receive more and more money. And that's what definitely the power of your subconscious mind, that definitely taught me that. But once I get that other title, I will let you know. But yeah.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of the great quote I think I've made up. We put it on the T-shirt. A man or woman's greatness is measured by their impact,
Mm,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
after that impact, generally those dreams follow. And so we appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nah, this was great. And like I said, I know we can go much further, but that segue into where can folks find you that want to get started, that want to have a consultation, or just maybe see the thing that you provide. Where can folks find you and kind of catch up with and
Yeah, so I'm
understand
on
what it is that you do?
Yeah, so I am on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And you can search me with my first and last name, Ryan Crawford. And it's on the screen, right? Does it show up for the viewers that way?
Yeah, I'll put it in the description
Okay,
too.
cool.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that is how people can find me on all platforms. They can either click the link in the bio or they can shoot me a DM. And I will reply back with a consultation or, phone call, whatever we need to do. But yeah. And oh, and you asked what I do, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, educate people on finances, really leveraging credit and making sure they are able to get their buying power back by disputing inaccurate items. We do that part, but just like I said, educating people. And we also have a nonprofit organization that helps children with financial literacy. So all of
Mm,
our clients that come in, they have a portal that they're able to help their kids with just understanding how finances work, how and understanding how to educate their kids from the age from 3 on up. So
mhm.
that's the biggest basis is financial literacy.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yep.
I wanted to tap into that quickly. Teaching our kids at a very young age, right? So they understand right away the best uses of money, right? What are some of the things that we didn't learn early on and we could teach as young parents? Um, and some of the pitfalls that we observe with our own ill habits, right? So I think, like I said, this program, I think I want to, tap in with you for that. My kids 6 and 8, Kev, yours are young, getting older, and they're starting to touch money a little bit more often, right? So I know my daughter, I'm trying to break the habit of her wanting to spend everything she gets her hand on, right? So
Right.
just starting with the fundamental um, understanding and value the different things that money can do, and not only now because we get that impulse type of drive. What can it do for you later if you're able to have some of that delayed gratification now? And I know with kids it's a little tough, but I think if we begin
Yeah.
now, it's going to become a little bit easier later on. Um, so,
Mhm.
but now I think that's real huge.
Yeah, yeah, it's called the Youth Financial Literacy Foundation, and we give away scholarship money every year for it as well.
Mm,
But as far as there's little things they give you games of what you could do with your kids. Tell your kids to
Mhm.
mm,
pick out this money or this money. Give your kids this and tell them to pick something out at the store. It's practical things that you don't have. It's not information overload because
Right.
us as adults
Uh-oh. I think she clicked out on us. We'll give her a brief second to return.
Nah, you good.
Um, but nah, man, I like I said, that's one thing I've been trying to harp on with the kids, man, is just you know, like we'll try to we did under the past, we'll put price tags and stickers on stuff like in their basement or in the basement where the kids' toys and all that stuff is. It was, hey, we'll give them either real money, fake money, whatever we feel like using.
Yeah.
And they'll have to boom, try to do the math in their head, right? How much money did you begin with? How much money you gonna leave with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or just give them scenarios like, hey, this person spent all their money and then they went to do this and couldn't do it, right? Or they wanted to make a big purchase later down the road,
A couple
but you
years
kept
ago.
spending on candy, right? So
Right.
just make this little micro ideas that they can be like, oh, okay, so it is probably best to hold on because you don't know what might happen in the future. I might want this later,
Right.
or there's all different type of things you can have them begin thinking about. That's why I'm getting Rashad and Charlotte to think about. Just think, sit back and think.
Yeah.
Take your time with it, right?
A couple years ago, I made like 10 rules of money for Noah, and
Mhm.
because he likes to get his money, and he has to go find a toy to buy, even if he don't want the toy. I see him just like trying to figure out how to buy something because he's understanding purchasing power, and money has some power attached to it. It's energy he can put out and get something back. So he likes that control, being able to control what he gets. So while he's adjusting to the power of choice and power of decisions, one of the rules was, man, never spend all your money, right? Never
Wow.
spend every dollar, right? Always keep something back. The man doesn't deserve money if he doesn't know how to manage money. There was with 10 rules, and I got him in that time, and I need to redo this. I was triggered by what you said earlier about educating kids, but I need to redo that because we've gotten away from that concept. Just stuff happens, you move on, lose your routine. But he got so
Mhm.
passionate about saving money. He had like $100 and something. He wasn't
Mm.
spending nothing. So he went from one extreme to the other, which is
Yeah.
very common with life, which is
Yeah.
fine. I much rather him keep it, not spend it, and be selective.
Mhm.
But I think he went on punishment or something because he was doing something. He might have went on punishment, and he wanted to buy this toy, and I was like, "Nah, we freezing your little account right now because you doing too much." He
Mm.
was on punishment. I wish I would have chose a different punishment because he was so passionate about like saving that
Yeah.
once he's like, okay, I might as well spend it before they freeze it, So like, and
Oh, yeah.
so it's
The
like,
reverse effect happened.
so trying to figure out now, it was like disciplinary, like he did something crazy. It was like, nah, we ain't doing no toys, nothing, we chilling. But
Mhm.
at least I learned at that moment to separate the discipline from the education,
Mhm.
at least as it pertains to the money. And so while he got really passionate about saving his money, and then we got away from it, I think I want to reapproach getting that saving thing back. And life happens, man. You want to be great every day, especially as a father, man. You just want to be, the best, and a lot of times you fall out of that, or life just gets in the way of you being the best, and you just start surviving or just start floating. And not always, but in some ways, right? You might be a good disciplinarian this year, you might get a little lackadaisical next year. Might be a really good
Yeah.
disciplinarian this year, but you might have the affection and the love or the of affirmation be a little low. You forgot about that, right? So
Mhm.
trying to strike a balance and maintain the process of education while also caring and nurturing, just as a father and husband, is always going to be a challenge. Balancing your own masculinity and sense of failure and superiority and fatigue and anxiety and inadequacy and all the things we battle in our minds. But I'm excited to start his financial journey next year. In his
Yeah.
mind, 10 is when he's allowed to start man training. So
Okay. Yeah.
um
Yeah, you said it. I like that.
yeah, man
And
training
training.
happens 10. So man training is a lot more combat training. Man training is him learning how to work out with me. Man training is him
Mm.
uh just doing all the things that represent a level of masculinity, and just not just watching me, but participating. Oh, she's
Gotcha.
back. She's
Gotcha.
back.
She's
All
back.
right.
you
I don't know
back.
what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the internet behaves sometime, but hey, we got you back. So
Yes. Sorry.
I don't know if you remember what you were ending on much
Um,
at all.
just saying that adults' mind when it comes to teaching kids about financial literacy can be information overload because
Yeah.
we know what we know and we try to pass it on to our kids and then they get confused. So
Right.
I think it's good to have those small fundamental, you know, just making sure they understand the fundamentals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's key. And I think as we wrap up, that's a great bonding activity as well. Just learning the small terminology of financial literacy, just a little bit of education um that we can impart on them. And like I said, they begin using this terminology, knowing how money works, knowing the pitfalls, and learning from this micro mistakes that they may make. I think we have to also allow them to kind of hit their head a little bit as they're young, when it's not so it's more inconsequential, as when they're super young, as opposed to much older as they reach adulthood. Because I like to like guide them a little too much, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I they're not going to learn that well for me. They're
Yeah.
just doing like, okay, what daddy said, that, right? So it's like you got to give them the tools, give them a way to think about it, and then let the
Like,
rest be how they, that's the way you learn. Because I
yeah.
took some L's and I was like, I'm not doing that again, right? And that's one of the
Yeah.
best features.
Yeah.
When you take some L's, you like, okay, it's real. I got
Yeah.
it.
I had to take
Mm.
when me and my daughter went to the store last week. I had her use her own money. She dug in her piggy bank. And usually I buy it, but I'm like, you know what? You 7. I'm gonna let you pay for it this time. She bought a
Mhm.
little wallet. She bought some lip gloss. It was way more than what she expected. I'm like, keep handing me them dollars because she had all ones.
Oh wow.
And people around me looking at me like, what? She like she making her daughter pay for it? Like, yes, like that's how you teach them. Like, you take
Yeah,
them to the store so they understand. Like, when it's your money,
it
then
Right.
hit different.
it's gonna hit a little different. So
Yeah.
just little things like that.
Nah, that's phenomenal. Just like I said, just shifting the culture, as we talk about breaking generational curses, things like that, and that's what we stand on. Doing things differently, more positively, being more proactive, taking initiative. That's what the Fatherhood Village is about, and I'm glad we're able to have you on finally, because this is a much needed dialogue. And I don't know if you check my shirt out. It says Black men and women need each other, right?
Yes,
And I think this
absolutely.
is reflective of that, having this conversation. Even
Yes.
though uh, most of our messages are directed to men, we do have women that watch the platform, and that are interested in what we have to say. But everyone's invited, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, who knows where this conversation may end up. It got to get to the right people, right? And this is where it begins. So again, thank you for coming along. It's
Yes.
been great, cuz
Yes.
like I said, they have your information. I'll put all your contact stuff in the description. Y'all please reach out, follow her. She has great stuff. I'm telling you, like I'm picking up stuff from her. And I'm sure you all will too. So that's it from us. Like, share, subscribe. We got the link tree in the description as well. So like I said, comment, let us know what you're thinking, what's helped you. We're talking about generating all these conversations, what's helping you, how have people been helped by the things that you've blessed them with. And let's keep this thing going. Anything you got, Kev?
Oh man, along the lines of finance, I think it's as important to make sure that we're helping our children define success for themselves, and that way they don't mismanage the money as rapidly as some of us.
Mm-hmm.
Having nice things is successful. Okay, cool. So let me get some credit, and they're gonna blow it on looking richer than I am. So
Yeah.
I've been mindset, along with that financial mindset, is, you know, what really means you're successful. You know, is it the fulfillment you get? Is it the money, amount of money in the bank? Is it the things you can buy with the credit? I think financial literacy has to include mindset training as it pertains to one's own vision of success and fulfillment, because we try to buy fulfillment instead of achieve fulfillment. And that's why a lot of people are broke.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
There we go. There we go. Well, that
Oh,
wraps
An
us up.
Illusion of Money
Uh-oh.
is the book name.
Oh,
What's the name?
The Illusion of Money.
The Illusion of Money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
solid.
I don't know if y'all heard, for anyone that's interested in gaining a more historical context of Black America, and how it relates to the economy. It's called The Color of Money. And I'm actually listening to that on Audible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so check that out, especially those that's kind of into the Black history, how we got here, as far as economically, and just as far as the wealth gap, and how things were kind of positioned by design, right? It's a great story, great great understanding. But like I said, this puts everything in a historical context. So, but again, that wraps us up for this episode of Wealth Building. Deo, thank you, Ryan. That's Kev Hick. Peace and love.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
All right, you too.